Hey everybody! Well, first and foremost, you'll realize I'm not here, even though I said I would be. Turns out I'm a big, big baby. And yes, I'm taking the day off. Anyways, I will absolutely be there tomorrow. So, I'm going to walk you through building your Lego robots today. So, if you haven't already, let's stop and take a break and let's get our instruction manuals out. You'll notice the cover looks very much like this, and it should be a paper book. If you don't have one, I should have extras in the extra Lego part bin. And if you can't find any up there, see if your neighbor has one you could borrow. Anyways, you'll open it up and it'll look like this. So we're gonna scroll down. Again, I'm doing this like on a digital format, so it might look a little different, but it should be the same thing. So if you've never built Lego robots before, they're extremely literal. And what I mean by literal is that you have to follow the instructions exactly. No like, what'll it do? Look at me, let's make them look cooler. That's going to cause some problems down the line. So really make sure, again, it's the right part in the right place. So if you can open your book to page 8, and that's going to be step 1 of our build. And we're all going to be building the same robot. So this is page 8. Sorry, it's a little funky. Anyways, page 8. So a couple things to kind of point out here. The first, if you have 2 people, this is how I would break it down. If you're working by yourself or with a group of 3, it's a little different. But first step is to, of course, find the pieces. They're going to be in this blue shaded column right here. And you need 2 black pegs and 1 motor, right? So these quantities are important. So you need to get the parts before you can assemble them, right? So when you assemble them, realize that, again, it's extremely literal. Look at the instructions, look at the pictures very, very clearly, right? Your black pegs have to go there. And notice that the motor is turned kind of upside down in this orientation. If your motor is one way or the other, if it's upside down, your whole thing's going to be built upside down. So be really careful and very literal. Okay, so scrolling down. There's a couple tricky steps here. The first to realize, if we look at step 2, right? It's going to have this axle, this black axle. Now this axle, how do you know what size it is, right? Do you just like look at it and be like, oh yeah, that looks about the right size? Or you can look down here. Now, for these Lego instructions, notice the number 8 here and the number 8 here will line up, and that's a big indicator. And also you'll see this thing called a 1-to-1 scale. Now, a 1-to-1 scale is important because it means that if you get a black axle, just like they say, and put it over your picture, it should line up perfectly, the same exact size. So physically take up an axle and put it on the piece of paper, right? And it should be the exact same size. If it's smaller than this, if it's bigger than this, it's not the right one. So again, be very careful, okay? This is a very common problem I see, is people taking the wrong size. Right? Okay, so moving along. Step 4. This is right here. This is probably the biggest problem, hands down. And what's confusing is, in your kits they are blue, right? And I guess there was some problems with making the instructions and then making the pieces, but yours are going to be blue. And you really need to look at your kit and see that, again, there's no black, what I call them, double pegs. Instead, there are these blue double pegs. And again, look at it very, very closely, right? You'll notice that, again, it looks exactly the same. It's just a different color. Okay? Again, see the difference between that black peg and that black peg, right? Very, very different pegs. So please be careful. Look, like when you put it into your piece, it should just look like this, with a short end and a long end. But again, these will be blue. If anybody messes this step up, I'm going to cry. Step 4, blue pegs, right? And that's going to continue. Anyways, the length of these beams you can figure out by, again, just putting a beam over that and making sure it's the same length, or counting all of these little holes, right? And again, should be 13 holes, right? That's how you know you've got the right size. Great. So again, watch out for those black pegs. They're going to get you. Alright. Anything else? Those are probably the biggest things. Step 5, it will introduce another peg. And this is a black peg with a little, I call them like a little teacup peg. And you got this little notch on the top. And these are kind of hard to find, but overall, again, you just have to really look at the picture. Really, you can do this absolutely on your own, but you've just got to really look. Look, 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 be careful, check twice, good luck!